The unseen chains. When the echo of others dictates your existence, there exists a subtle, pervasive tyranny that shapes our lives, often without our conscious awareness. It is the pervasive, almost imperceptible grip of seeking external validation. This relentless pursuit dictates our desires, molds our opinions, and most insidiously defines our very sense of self. We become prisoners within the architecture of our own minds, not by choice, but by the echoes of others' presumed judgments. This is the unseen chain that binds us, rendering us less ourselves and more a reflection of what we believe others wish to see. Friedrich Nietzsche, in his profound critique of modern society, identified this very phenomenon within what he termed herd morality. It is the subtle architect of our insatiable need for approval, a slow descent into the realm of the last man. This is the being who prioritizes comfort, conformity, and the placid acceptance of the herd over the arduous, often lonely, path of authentic selfhood. The herd offers a deceptive warmth, a sense of belonging, but at the steep price of your own genuine spirit, your unique self. To live for the gaze of others is to surrender the very essence of what makes you, you. The psychological cost of this ceaseless pursuit is immense, a heavy toll extracted from our inner lives. It manifests as a constant, gnawing anxiety, a perpetual fear of judgment that paralyzes genuine expression. This fear erodes our authentic personal power, hollowing us out from the inside. When our actions, our words, even our thoughts are calibrated to appease an external audience, we cease to be the authors of our own lives. We become actors on a stage, perpetually seeking applause, yet never truly inhabiting our own skin. Consider this like Prometheus, who dared to steal fire from the gods. The act of relentlessly seeking approval is a Faustian bargain. It offers a fleeting, superficial warmth, a momentary glow of acceptance. But this borrowed heat comes at a profound cost, the slow, corrosive surrender of your own soul's autonomy. You trade the wild, untamed fire of your inner being for the flickering candle of external affirmation, and in doing so, you dim your own light. This is the paradox of seeking approval. In grasping for acceptance, we push away the very authenticity that would truly make us worthy of it. How deeply have these unseen chains shaped your own journey, breaking the mirror, the dark Nietzschean path to unshackled authenticity? At the heart of this liberation lies the concept of the will to power, not as a crude desire for domination over others, but as the fundamental, irrepressible drive for self-overcoming. It is the affirmation of one's own existence, a deep-seated imperative to grow, to transcend, to become more. This drive exists independently of any external decree or approval. It is an internal engine, a force that compels us to shape ourselves and our world according to our own inner becoming, rather than the dictated lines of societal expectation. To understand this is to begin dismantling the mirror that reflects only what others wish to see. Nietzsche himself articulated this profound stance with stark clarity. I do not wish to be understood. I wish to be understood by only one man or by no man. This is the absolute antithesis of seeking approval. Imagine the sheer liberation of this statement. It speaks to a radical independence of spirit, a psychic freedom that arises when the need for external affirmation evaporates, when your primary audience is yourself or perhaps a singular internal compass. The cacophony of external opinions fades into irrelevance. This is the doorway to authentic selfhood. How do we begin to embody this? Consider the revaluation of values exercise. Take a moment not for external performance, but for profound internal scrutiny. Identify one deeply held belief, one burning desire, one aspiration that you suspect has been shaped by the relentless pursuit of external approval. Perhaps it's a career choice, a relationship ideal, or even a personal trait you feel compelled to exhibit. Now turn your gaze inward. Question its origin. Was it truly yours, or was it adopted to earn nods of assent? What is its true value to you, the self-creator, stripped bare of the need need for applause? What if its worth is entirely subjective, existing only in the echo chamber of others' expectations? We often hold up a mirror, not to our true selves, but to an idealized projection designed for approval. This mirror obscures the complex, often darker truths of our own becoming. Nietzsche understood that true integration, true power, comes not from denying this shadow, but from embracing it. Our imperfections, our contradictions, our primal drives, these are not flaws to be hidden, but integral parts of the whole. To integrate this shadow is to move beyond a superficial performance of self. So let us pose this question, a seed for contemplation. If all external validation were to vanish tomorrow, if the mirrors reflecting others' desires shattered into a million pieces, what foundational truth of your being would remain? And from that unshakable bedrock, how would you then begin to build your self-authored reality? A reality forged not in the fires of approval, but in the crucible of your own unyielding will, the tyranny of the good and the birth of the great, escaping the master-slave morality. Nietzsche's profound dissection of master-slave morality reveals a deep-seated societal dynamic. He observed how the values of the many, often born from weakness and resentment, became codified as good. This good of the herd, while seemingly benign, often serves as a subtle yet potent tool to suppress the exceptional individual's authentic power and their innate drive for self-overcoming. The herd's definition of good is designed to maintain the status quo, to keep everyone within predictable, manageable boundaries, thereby stifling the emergence of genuine greatness. He famously stated, "What is bad? Everything that is born of weakness." It is vital to understand that this is not an endorsement of cruelty or a call to embrace malice. Instead, it is a radical critique of a morality that elevates victimhood and resentment as virtues. It challenges us to recognize how a system built on shared grievances can paradoxically disempower individuals by condemning any expression of strength, self-affirmation, or unique will. This redefinition forces us to question what we truly value: comfort and conformity, or the arduous yet liberating path of self-mastery. Psychologically, this dynamic fuels a potent resentment engine. The very need for approval, the cornerstone of slave morality, often perpetuates passive aggression and breeds hidden judgments against those who dare to be different, those who possess a power derived from their own being. This engine grinds away, maintaining the slave mindset, where judging and condemning the master figure becomes a perverse form of self-validation. It keeps individuals bound to a framework where their worth is measured by their adherence to the group's collective, often negative outlook. To break free, we must cultivate the perspectivist stance. Recognize that the concept of approval is merely one perspective, and often a shallow one at that. True independence lies in your ability to see situations, and indeed your own actions and motivations, from multiple, even contradictory viewpoints. This mental elasticity dismantles the absolute authority of external judgment. It allows you to hold your own values, forged through self-reflection, above the shifting sands of popular opinion. The great individual, the one who has truly undergone self-overcoming, does not seek approval from the herd. They forge their own values, charting a course dictated by their own will to power. This path often entails a degree of isolation, a necessary consequence of standing apart. What greatness lies dormant within you, waiting to be unleashed from the suffocating chains of the good that the herd so readily imposes? Amor fati, embracing the unavoidable yes to your entire existence, the ultimate antidote to the corrosive fear of judgment, and the desperate, exhausting need for external approval, lies in Nietzsche's profound concept of amor fati, the love of fate. This is not a passive resignation to destiny, a meek acceptance of whatever befalls you. Instead, it is an active, powerful affirmation of asterisk, all asterisk, that is, has been, and will be. It is a radical yes to the entirety of your existence, the good, the bad, the celebrated, and the condemned. Nietzsche articulated this with unwavering clarity. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. This is a call to embrace every facet of your life, every triumph and every perceived failure, every moment of connection and every instance of profound isolation. To truly embody amor fati is to recognize that these experiences are not obstacles to be overcome or corrected, but the very fabric from which your unique self is woven. Consider the neuro-emotional impact of this. Confronting the unavoidable aspects of your life, the past failures, the moments of rejection, the decisions that led you down difficult paths, can initially trigger a cortisol spike, the body's stress response. It can feel like reliving the pain. However, the subsequent embrace of amor fati offers a profound dopamine reward. This reward is not the fleeting pleasure of external praise, but the deep, lasting liberation of self-acceptance. It is the quiet joy of recognizing that your entire journey, in all its messy complexity, has led you to this moment, and that is enough. Engage in the thought experiment of the eternal recurrence. Imagine living your exact life, every single moment, including every instance of seeking approval and its inevitable consequences, repeated infinitely. Would you affirm this life? This powerful, almost terrifying thought experiment forces a profound confrontation with what truly matters beyond the ephemeral allure of fleeting external validation. It compels you to ask, if this is my eternal reality, what aspects of it do I genuinely want to affirm? What choices would I make if I knew they would echo through eternity? To love your fate, truly love it, means to love the consequences of your own will to power, even the painful ones, even the ones that were met with disapproval. It is to own your journey, every step of it. How can you begin today to say yes to the entirety of your journey, rather than endlessly seeking to curate an approved version of it for the eyes of others? This is the path to unshakable authenticity, the power of solitude. Where the self-author is forged, there lies a profound paradox in our human need for connection. The more desperately we grasp for external approval, the more deeply we risk becoming isolated from our true selves. The constant performance for an audience, the effort to curate a likable persona, creates a chasm between who we present ourselves to be and who we authentically are. True strength, the unshakable inner core that defines authentic power, is often forged not in the warmth of the crowd, but in the quiet, demanding crucible of solitude. Nietzsche placed immense emphasis on solitude, recognizing it as a necessary, even vital, condition for any form of genuine greatness. He understood that self-mastery, the ability to command oneself, is the prerequisite for any meaningful existence. As he starkly put it, he who cannot obey himself will be commanded by others. And what is the command of others, if not the incessant, subtle pressure to conform, to seek their approval, to live by their dictates? Solitude is the space where you can begin to hear your own commands, your own inner voice. Many recoil from solitude, not from a lack of desire for self-discovery, but from a deep-seated fear of empty space. This fear is the dread of confronting one's own thoughts, one's own desires, without the comforting hum of external validation or the distracting noise of social interaction. In this empty space, the self-imposed limitations we have meticulously built, often in service of gaining approval, are laid bare. It is in this confrontation that the illusion of being defined by others begins to crumble. To actively cultivate this inner space, consider a solitude audit. Dedicate a specific, uninterrupted period each week to simply be alone with your thoughts. Do not fill the silence with external stimuli. Observe your internal dialogue with a critical yet compassionate eye. What narratives are you running that are intrinsically dependent on others' opinions? What are you telling yourself about your worth, your capabilities, your very being, based on what you assume others think? Consciously begin to rewrite these narratives, grounding them in your own emerging values, not in the borrowed currency of external approval. In the quiet, perhaps initially unsettling absence of the crowd's clamor, can you begin to hear the nascent whispers of your own authentic will to power? Can you discern the subtle direction it dictates? A path forged not from a desire for applause, but from the deep, unshakable truth of your own becoming. This is where true self-authorship begins, from last man to overman, the radical act of self-authorship, the ultimate chilling consequence of a life spent perpetually seeking external approval, is the descent into the figure Nietzsche so critically described, the last man. This is the being content with comfort, devoid of aspiration, living a life dictated by the avoidance of risk and the pursuit of shallow, manufactured contentment. The last man is the living embodiment of mediocrity, a stark antithesis to the aspirational ideal of the overman. The Bermensch or overman is often misunderstood. It is not a biological evolution, a step in human development like the emergence of a new species. Rather, it is a profound psychological and philosophical transformation. It is the self that has courageously shed its dependence on external values, on the judgments and dictates of the herd, and has instead forged its own meaning, its own purpose, its own law. This is the self-author. This transformative journey, the path from last man to overman, is where the dark Nietzsche aspect truly emerges. This transformation is not gentle, nor is it universally pleasing. It requires a willingness to confront and integrate the shadow, those parts of ourselves that society deems unacceptable, those primal drives and instincts that are often suppressed in the name of conformity. Paradoxically, these are frequently the very sources of our most potent, unique power, the raw material for authentic selfhood. To embody this transformation, embrace the principle of self-commandment. Instead of passively waiting for praise to validate your actions or criticism to define your failures, begin to issue your own commands to yourself. These commands must be rooted in your self-created values, your deepest aspirations, and your affirmed fate. This is not arbitrary self-discipline. It is the bedrock of true autonomy, the essential cessation of seeking approval from any external source. It is the internal decree that dictates your path. When you finally cease the relentless pursuit of approval, you are not becoming selfish or narcissistic. You are becoming something far more profound. Asterisk yourself, asterisk. The radical act, the truly transformative moment, is to live by your own law, to become the conscious author of your own existence. It is in this act of self-creation, of living in accordance with your own affirmed fate and your own will to power, that your everything changes. You become the architect of your own reality, the master of your own meaning. The echo fades, your self-authored symphony begins. We have traversed a path from the subtle, suffocating chains of external validation to the profound liberation of self-authorship. We have peered into the depths of Nietzsche's philosophy, not to find comfort in easy answers, but to unearth the raw, potent insights that empower us to break free. We have understood the will to power, not as a crude assertion of dominance, but as the fundamental drive for self-overcoming, the affirmation of our own existence against the tide of external decree. We have contemplated amor fati, the active, passionate embrace of our entire fate, recognizing that true strength lies not in wishing for a different past or future, but in loving the reality of what asterisk is asterisk. And we have seen the courage required to create our own values, to become the arbiters of our own meaning, rather than passively accepting those imposed by the herd. This dark path we have explored is not a descent into malice or cruelty. Rather, it is an honest confrontation integration with the full spectrum of human experience. It is the acceptance and integration of the shadow, the parts of ourselves that society might deem unacceptable, the primal struggles, the moments of vulnerability, the necessary solitude. These are not flaws to be hidden, but essential components of authentic power. They are the raw materials from which true selfhood is forged, the elements that make your symphony uniquely yours. This profound transformation is not a static destination, a point at which you arrive and can rest. It is, in essence, a continuous practice. It is the ongoing act of self-overcoming, a perpetual revaluation of values in the face of life's eternal recurrence. Each challenge, each moment where the old urge for approval might resurface, is an opportunity to reaffirm your commitment to your own authorship, to strengthen the muscle of your inner command. Consider this analogy. You are no longer a musician playing a borrowed melody, striving to appease a fickle audience with predictable tunes. You have shed that burden. Now you are the composer, the conductor, and the soloist of your own magnificent, challenging, and utterly unique symphony. The notes you play are your own. The rhythm you set is your own. The crescendos and the quiet passages, the harmonies and even the dissonances, they all belong to you. The echo of external approval fades, replaced by the resonant, unshakable music of your self-authored existence. What will be the first movement of your symphony?